Good evening. Welcome to your Coast Guard. I'm your host, Ensign Andre Bilodeau. What do the inland forests of eastern North Carolina have in common with marine pollution, plastics, and aluminum? Well, we'll talk about these topics and more tonight. First, we will introduce Chief Dan Lamont, officer in charge of Station Hoboken here in the Croatan Forest. We'll get to these topics and more after these messages.
Thought drinking and boating are supposed to go well together. It's time to think again. Bottoms up can have a deadly meaning when you combine boats and booze. Alcohol is a factor in 1/2 of all boating deaths. That's a sobering thought. For boaters, alcohol and water aren't a good mix. And it's best to know before you go. A message from the United States Coast Guard and the National Safe Boating Council.
And welcome back to your Coast Guard. I'm here tonight with Officer in charge of Station Hoboken, Chief Dan Lamont. Welcome to your Coast Guard, Chief.
Thank you, thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about your area of responsibility and the history of Station Hoboken?
Okay, Station Hoboken was originally established in 1933 as a light attendant station and buoy yard. What they mainly did was just repaired buoys here and also maintain the lighted buoys and the buoys in the waterways around this area. In 1968, the mission changed for this station, and a new station was built, which is one we have now. And our missions now are still, to a degree, aid to navigation, but our primary jobs are search and rescue and law enforcement.
I see. Can you tell me the area you cover?
The area that this station is responsible for is from the Fairfield Bridge in the Alligator-Pungo Canal north of here, south to the other side of the Neuse River in Adams Creek area, and halfway into Pamlico Sound, meeting Ocracoke's area, Station Ocracoke, and to the west as far as we can safely navigate our boat through the Neuse and Pamlico rivers.
It offers some interesting opportunities being completely inland, eh?
Yes, sir. It's a little different than offshore. We've got a lot more concerns with navigation, a lot shallower water, stumps, woods, creeks, a lot of things you don't have to deal with out in the ocean.
Does the shallow water make for any interesting SAR cases?
Well, the shallow water, one of probably our #1 type of SAR case we receive here are vessels that run aground.
I see.
And due to the shallow water, that's a lot of what we deal with here.
I see. Do you have any examples of any recent SAR case you care to talk about?
Just several weeks ago, we had a 62-foot twin-masted sailing vessel that ran aground at Brant Island Slough in Pamlico Sound. During that storm that was passing through during that time and had 30 knot winds, it was being pushed up on the bank, and we refloated the vessel, and then he began taking on water, so we, in that case, had to scramble a second boat and with additional pumps, but we were able to control the flooding and got him safely here in Hoboken.
Outstanding. There are a lot of campgrounds around here, and I know a lot of people are into recreational boating. Does that lead to some boating while intoxicated cases out here?
That is a problem we have in this area. We've had 2 incidents in the last few weeks concerning boating while intoxicated, so that is an issue here, yes.
It is an issue. Thank you for joining us here tonight, Chief. I appreciate it. Boating while intoxicated continues to be a problem here on the waters of eastern North Carolina. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Maybe you don't care about drinking and boating.
But we do.
Boat smart, boat safe, boat sober. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by your state and local law enforcement agencies, the U.S. Coast Guard, and this station.
Unfortunately, the use of alcoholic beverages and boating seem to be a trend here in North Carolina. What the skipper must remember is that the effects of the sun, the wave movement, the vibration and the noise all intensify the effects of alcohol on the skipper. What this does is it decreases his coordination, his judgment, and his ability to handle the vessel. 50% of all boating fatalities happen to people who are drinking. Of these, 51% were found to have had a 0.04% blood alcohol content or more in a 4-state study, including right here in North Carolina. If you must drink, drink responsibly. Designate a non-drinking skipper. Another impact on our marine environment is pollution. Let's take a look at the Coast Guard's new Sea Partner program and how it's responding to this marine threat. we all know, living in a maritime community, pollution on the ocean impacts the environment as well as the economy of eastern North Carolina. For these reasons, the Coast Guard has implemented a program called Sea Partners. And with me tonight is Chief Jim Pierce from MSO Wilmington, who's going to talk about the Sea Partners. How you doing? Welcome to your Coast Guard, Mr. Chief Pierce.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What can you tell me about the Sea Partners and the implementation of the program?
The Sea Partners program is a marine environmental program designed to educate and make aware to the general public the marine pollution that we have today.
I understand there's quite a few Coast Guard Reserve members involved in this program.
Yes, we have over 250 Coast Guard reserves, and the reserves, it's not primarily a reserve program. The active duty Coast Guard is also involved with it.
I see. And this is a national campaign?
Yes, it is a national campaign. We started out in June with approximately 250 reservist and active duty people, and we've gone nationwide with it.
I see. So as I understand, it's a two-part program. You're hitting the school-age children as well as adult and civic organizations.
Yes, we do have presentations or programs designed for the school kids from elementary right on up through high school, and we have another program designed for the adult arena.
Tell me about your mascot. I understand you have a...
Our mascot is the Officer Snook.
Officer Snook?
Right. The Officer Snook is a fish that comes primarily from the Florida region. And, it can either live in freshwater or saltwater, and it was taken just for that particular reason, because pollution, not only in saltwater, it is in freshwater also, and we're concerned about all the water in the United States.
I understand. Officer Snook, then, he's a representative for the children, and for the adults, we're looking at environmental impact, more of economics of the thing, how it affects the fishing community, how it affects the environment, the biomass, and how it progresses from the water state into our pocketbooks and into our industry.
That's true. It not only affects the recreational fishermen, but the commercial fishing industry. All of us are affected by this. The commercial fishing industry, for instance, they're losing millions of dollars each year through plastics, for instance, loose nets that are either cut loose or drifting is lost or thrown overboard. These nets are entrapping or entangling not only these seabirds, but wildlife, sea creatures, things of this nature, and it's really killing them.
It's horrendous. Okay, if I have a civic organization or a school, I'd like to get a presentation, who would I call for assistance here?
Okay, you would call our Sea Partner coordinator down in the Marine Safety Office in Wilmington.
Right.
The phone number you would use is 919-343-4895.
4895.
I'm sorry, it's not 919, it's 910.
They've recently changed that, so it's 910-343-4895,
and just ask for the Sea Partner coordinator.
The Sea Partner coordinator. Thank you for being with us tonight, Chief. I look forward to seeing you again.
Sir. Thank you.
Most of the legislation affecting the Sea Partners program rests with the MARPOL legislation, which stands for Marine Pollution. It was enacted in the late 80s. With us tonight to expound on this legislation and how it affects all the boaters in eastern North Carolina is Petty Officer Chapman, also from MSO Wilmington. So Petty Officer Chapman, tell me, what part of MARPOL affects boaters here in eastern North Carolina?
Well, boaters around here should be concerned with MARPOL Annex 5, which is the trash law that states that any plastics that enters the water is illegal.
Is illegal anywhere?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yes.
What can a boater do to avoid being cited, whether from being called in from another boat or being seen by the Coast Guard? What's available to the boater out there?
The best thing a boater can do is plan ahead. If you want to take a six-pack of drinks out with you, leave the six-pack in the garbage can on the pier. If you really don't need the plastics, don't take them out.
And what do you do with the plastics once you have them?
If you do take them out with you, keep them someplace where they won't blow off your vessel. Keep them either inside or in a covered trash can.
I see. What if you just don't really care and you do throw your plastic over and you are caught? What kind of violation, what kind of punishment can you expect?
Well, you could expect a fine of maximum up to $25,000 or if it's an intentional, you can expect jail term up to 1 year in prison.
1 year in prison?
Yes.
For plastics over the side?
Yes.
I see. So tell me about the 200-mile limit. What affects the EEZ, as they call it? That's 200 miles out?
Yes, it is. That's the zone that the United States uses. Anywhere within that zone, plastics being dumped is illegal.
Okay, I see. Is there a 1-800 number that a boater can call to report a chemical spill or plastics being dumped?
Yes, it's a National Response Center in Washington, D.C. Number is 1-800-424-8802.
Can you repeat that, please?
1-800-424-8802.
Very important to write that number down.
Yes, and they'll give our office a call, and we will send an investigation team out immediately.
As soon as possible.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us here tonight, Pedestrian.
Thank you.
Now, stay with us as we explore the impact of marine environmental pollution on marine mammals, seabirds, and fish.
The approximate 130,000 commercial fishing vessels operating in U.S. waters have a tremendous impact on the marine environment. Contaminants such as ship-generated waste, oil and chemical discharge, and sewage disposal can cause significant problems in both socioeconomic and ecological terms. Understanding marine pollution regulations and some of the recommended actions you can take will make a difference in protecting our environment. Annex 5 of the International Convention to Prevent Pollution from Ships, known as MARPOL, and the Marine Plastic Pollution Research and Control Act that implement MARPOL domestically establish requirements that prevent discharge of plastics and regulate discharge of other ship-generated waste. The U.S. Coast Guard has the lead role in enforcing marine pollution regulations and seeks higher levels of compliance by providing information on how these regulations apply to your operating activity. These regulations are aimed at marine pollution prevention, preparedness, enforcement, and response efforts, and set operational standards. To operate in U.S. waters, any vessel over 300 gross tons must establish financial responsibility to cover the cost of pollution cleanup and resource damage. This responsibility is established by insurance coverage, surety bond, or self-insurance sufficient to cover the maximum liability of up to $600 per gross ton or $500,000, whichever is greater. These limits do not apply if the responsible party fails to report the discharge. Certificates are issued through the National Pollution Fund Center. Non-ocean-going vessels must hold oily bilge slops on board for discharge at a reception facility. Ocean-going vessel slops for discharge at reception facilities or have an approved oily water separator on board. Ocean-going vessels over 400 gross tons, but less than 10,000 gross tons, must have an approved oily water separator and oily waste tanks. Vessels greater than 300 gross tons must provide discharge containment around each fuel oil or bulk lubricating oil tank vent, overflow, and fill pipe. Vessels with a capacity of 250 or more barrels of fuel must designate a person in charge of transfer operations and provide procedures for transfer of fuel to or from the vessel or on the vessel. Vessels greater than 26 feet must display 5 by 8 inch pollution discharge placards covering oil spill notification procedures. Any person in charge of a vessel, 1-800-424-8802. It is a violation if you do not report a spill from your vessel, and it applies to any spill resulting in a sheen, sludge, discoloration, or emulsion in the water. Cleanup costs and resource damages are the liability of the vessel's responsible party. Spills most commonly occur during fueling or when pumping out bilge slops, but can also occur during collisions, groundings, sinkings, and fires. A recent Coast Guard study shows that ship-generated waste accounts for approximately 30% of the marine debris found. Debris from fishing vessels can cause serious problems to marine life and their habitats. Being non-degradable may continue ghost fishing for years. While the law prohibits the disposal of any plastic material into the water, along with the regulation of other non-plastic garbage, accidental loss of fishing gear is not considered a violation. Fishing line, nets, plastic bags, and other garbage from fishing operations are the most frequently found on our coastal beaches. Marine debris washing ashore affects tourism, coastal beauty, and can cause human health problems. Coast Guard laws issued in 1988 make it illegal for any vessel to dump plastic trash into the ocean, bays, rivers, or other navigable U.S. waters, and also regulate the discharge of other forms of ship-generated waste.